Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you today with a message that I believe holds the key to unlocking your true potential, a message that could change the way you approach life, success, and happiness. The message is simple but profound: never compare yourself to others. We live in a world that constantly urges us to measure our lives against the lives of others. Social media, advertisements, even our own circles of friends and colleagues bombard us with images of success, beauty, and achievement. It's easy to fall into the trap of comparing ourselves to those around us. But I am here to remind you that comparison is the thief of joy and the destroyer of purpose. First and foremost, you are unique. There is no one like you, and that is a gift. You have been created with a unique set of talents, strengths, and experience that no one else possesses. Every part of you, from the way you think to the way you see the world, is distinct. To compare yourself to others is to disrespect your own individuality. When we compare, we often focus on what others have that we don't. This leads to a deep sense of insecurity, as we allow ourselves to believe that what others have is what we should have. This mindset destroys your confidence. The truth is, you will never feel satisfied if you constantly measure your progress based on someone else's. Your journey, your path, is yours alone. Don't let anyone else's timeline steal your peace. You see, comparison is not only a thief of joy, but also of growth. Every one of us has a different path, different struggles, and different victories. When you compare yourself to someone else, you lose sight of your own growth. You stop celebrating your progress and instead focus on their achievements, forgetting the incredible steps you've already taken forward. Celebrate your own journey. Now let's talk about unrealistic standards. When we compare ourselves to others, we often set standards that are simply not achievable for us. We see someone else's success and think, I should be there too. But the truth is, you do not know their story. You don't know what they've gone through to get there. Comparing yourself to others creates an illusion of perfection that doesn't exist. No one's life is flawless. Everyone has their own battles, their own scars. Perfection is a myth. But let's talk about what comparison really breeds: jealousy and resentment. Instead of being grateful for the life we have, we focus on what others have. We allow bitterness to creep in, and suddenly we are distracted by envy rather than striving to become the best version of ourselves. Jealousy is an enemy to progress. When you look at others and wish for their life, you forget that you have the power to create your own extraordinary story. When we focus on others, we stop growing in the way we were meant to grow. Growth happens in the space where we focus on ourselves, on improving, learning, and evolving. When we compare, we stop looking at how far we've come and instead only see how far we feel we need to go. Comparison blinds us to the progress we are making. More than anything, comparison breeds mediocrity. When you compare yourself to others, you start conforming to their vision of success instead of creating your own. You limit yourself to what others have done or are doing, and in doing so, you limit the amazing things you could accomplish on your own. Authenticity, not imitation, is the key to excellence. You are meant to create, not replicate. So what can you do instead of comparing? Gratitude. Every time you feel the urge to compare, pause and reflect on all that you have. Be grateful for your own journey. Be thankful for your progress, your health, your loved ones, your opportunities. The gratitude unlocks the potential within you. The more you appreciate what you have and who you are, the more you will attract the right opportunities for growth. And remember, this success is not about perfection. It's about fulfilling your purpose. Every single one of us has a unique mission in life, and comparison only distracts us from fulfilling it. Your purpose is yours to discover and live out. Don't let anyone else's version of success steal that from you. In conclusion, never compare yourself to others. You are on a path that no one else can walk, and your potential is limitless when you stop measuring yourself by someone else's standard. Be proud of who you are, where you are, and who you are becoming. You are enough. Each one of us is born with a unique identity, a combination of experiences, talents, and characteristics that no one else on this planet shares. This uniqueness is not something to be taken lightly. It is the very foundation of who we are and the potential we hold within ourselves. When we compare ourselves to others, we are essentially disregarding this individuality, believing that our worth is defined by the standards or achievements of others. But the truth is, no two people are the same. Not even twins share the same inner essence. The talents, experiences, and perspectives you have are part of a divine design crafted just for you. Think about it, there is only one you, and that is your power. The challenges you face, the lessons you've learned, and the passions that drive you are all a part of your personal narrative that no one else can replicate. This unique identity is what sets you apart in a world that is filled with endless possibilities. When we focus on being like someone else, we often forget that what makes us stand out, what makes us powerful, is our ability to embrace our own identity fully. In a world constantly pushing us to conform, the greatest act of courage you can show is to stay true to yourself. Your story is different from anyone else's, and that difference is what will lead you to success, fulfillment, and growth. Instead of looking at others and trying to measure up to their lives, focus on your own path, your own purpose. Understand that who you are today is enough, and your uniqueness is your greatest asset. When you embrace your true identity, you unlock the potential to achieve things that are not only possible for you, but extraordinary. When you constantly compare yourself to others, it chips away at your sense of self-worth. Comparison has a way of distorting your perception of yourself. You start to believe that your value is determined by how well you measure up to the people around you, whether it's in terms of achievements, looks, or success. This creates a cycle of self-doubt, where you focus more on what you lack instead of recognizing what you already possess. The more you compare, the less confident you become. Because no matter how hard you try, there will always be someone who seems to be doing better, achieving more, or living a life that appears more glamorous. This constant comparison can lead to a negative internal dialogue. You may start questioning your abilities, doubting your decisions, and feeling inadequate in the face of someone else's success. But the truth is, confidence doesn't come from comparison, it comes from within. Confidence is rooted in self-awareness and self-acceptance. When you compare yourself to others, you are denying your own journey, your own accomplishments, and your own value. The moment you stop comparing yourself to others and start embracing who you are, you build the foundation of true confidence. Confidence grows when you recognize and celebrate your own strengths, understand your potential, and take pride in your progress, no matter how small. It's about focusing on your own path rather than getting lost in someone else's. Every time you catch yourself comparing, remind yourself that your worth is not determined by anyone else's success. You are enough as you are, and your journey is your own. When you stop comparing, you begin to see how much you have accomplished and how much more you are capable of achieving. That is when true confidence begins to flourish. Your journey is uniquely yours, and it cannot be measured by anyone else's timeline or standards. We all have different starting points, different challenges, and different opportunities that shape our paths. The idea that success should look the same for everyone is not only unrealistic, it's harmful. Your experiences, your upbringing, your values, and your dreams have all led you to where you are today. And those factors make your journey distinct from anyone else's. It's easy to look at someone else's achievements and think that you should be at the same place at the same time. But that comparison fails to acknowledge the individual complexities of each person's life. Some people might find success early, while others may take longer to discover their true calling or to reach their peak. There are those who face struggles and setbacks that you may never experience, just as there are things that you face that others will never understand. Every one of us is working through our own set of circumstances, and those circumstances shape our growth. Your path is not meant to follow a cookie-cutter version of someone else's, because you are not meant to live someone else's story. You are meant to live your own. The beauty of embracing your own journey lies in the realization that you are exactly where you need to be at this moment. The time you spend comparing yourself to others is time wasted, because you could be using that energy to focus on your growth and your next step forward. While it's important to be inspired by others, it's crucial to remember that your timing, your struggles, your victories, they all belong to you alone. No one else can walk your path, and no one else can take the steps necessary to create your future. When you stop comparing, you free yourself to honor your own journey, knowing that it's just as important and valuable as anyone else's. When you stop comparing yourself to others and focus on your own strengths, you tap into the well of potential that already exists within you. Every individual is endowed with unique talents, skills, and qualities that, when nurtured, can lead to incredible growth and achievement. Yet, all too often we overlook these strengths in favor of what we perceive we're lacking, based on the perceived success of others. The truth is, strengths are your foundation, and they are the keys to your success. Rather than trying to mimic someone else's abilities or achievements, take time to reflect on what you naturally excel at and what brings you joy. These are the areas where your potential is most vibrant and where you can make the greatest impact. Whether it's your ability to solve problems, your creativity, your empathy, or your drive, these are the aspects of you that are meant to shine. When you focus on these gifts, you not only build confidence, but you also create opportunities for growth that are aligned with who you truly are. The process of focusing on your strengths means letting go of the distractions of comparison and truly investing in developing what is uniquely yours. It's not about being better than someone else, it's about being the best version of yourself. By honing in on what you are good at, you give yourself the freedom to grow in those areas and achieve things that are not only fulfilling but also authentic. When you focus on your strengths, you build momentum, and that momentum becomes the driving force behind your success. You stop measuring your worth against others and begin to see that your true value lies in what you bring to the world, not what you see in someone else. When we compare ourselves to others, we often set ourselves up for failure by adopting unrealistic standards. We begin to measure our worth against someone else's success, whether it's their career, relationships, or personal achievements. This is a dangerous trap because the image we have of their life is often incomplete or distorted. What we see from the outside does not reflect the full picture of their journey. It's easy to assume that others have it all together and that we should be at the same level, but this unrealistic standard doesn't take into account the struggles, the sacrifices, or the circumstances that shape each individual's path. By trying to live up to these unattainable expectations, we set ourselves up for disappointment. The reality is that life is not a competition, and success isn't measured by how closely we resemble someone else's story. Everyone's path is different, and the pace at which we progress is unique to us. When we try to adhere to these exaggerated standards, we rob ourselves of the ability to appreciate our own growth. We might find ourselves feeling inadequate or disillusioned, simply because we are trying to live up to a version of success that was never meant for us in the first place. Unrealistic standards also foster a mindset of perfectionism. We begin to believe that success can only be achieved if everything is done perfectly, without flaws or setbacks. This belief paralyzes us because perfection is not attainable. Their mistakes, detours, and even failures are all part of the process. They are not signs of weakness or failure, but crucial learning experiences that contribute to our growth. When we embrace our own journey and stop chasing a false ideal, we open ourselves up to real, sustainable success, one that is authentic and aligned with our own values and abilities. By letting go of unrealistic standards, we free ourselves to pursue our true potential without the burden of trying to be someone we were never meant to be. Jealousy and resentment are natural emotions that arise when we focus too much on comparing ourselves to others. These feelings emerge when we perceive someone else as having something we want or believe we deserve. Rather than viewing others' successes as inspiration, we internalize them as threats to our own worth. The more we compare, the more these negative emotions take root, and the more our energy is consumed by envy instead of gratitude. We begin to feel like there is a limited amount of success or happiness in the world, and that someone else's gain somehow diminishes our own value or potential. But in reality, this mindset does nothing but rob us of our peace and growth. Jealousy breeds negativity, and resentment builds walls between ourselves and others. When we focus on what someone else has, we are blind to the abundance in our own lives. We stop celebrating our achievements, no matter how small, and instead we become fixated on someone else's seemingly perfect life. This creates a toxic cycle where we feel bitter about our own circumstances, which only limits our ability to move forward. Jealousy and resentment breed division. Instead of lifting others up, we find ourselves wishing for their downfall or feeling resentful of their success. These feelings not only harm relationships, but also prevent us from creating the kind of connections that would allow us to grow and thrive. When we let go of jealousy and embrace appreciation for others, we open ourselves up to the possibility of collaboration and shared success rather than rivalry. The more we resent others, the more we hold ourselves back. But when we focus on our own path and celebrate others' wins, we allow ourselves to experience the joy that comes with authentic success. Instead of resentment, we can embrace joy and gratitude, which are the true fuel for personal growth. When we constantly compare ourselves to others, we unknowingly limit our own growth. Comparison forces us to focus on where we fall short, instead of acknowledging how far we've come. It shifts our attention away from personal progress and towards measuring ourselves against an external standard. This not only discourages us, but also prevents us from seeing the unique ways we can develop and evolve. Instead of striving for our own best version, we start to chase someone else's idea of success, which may not align with our strengths, passions, or purpose. The danger here is that comparison traps us in a fixed mindset. We become so focused on what we don't have or haven't accomplished that we forget to nurture the qualities and skills that make us who we are. Every time we compare, we undermine our own potential because we stop believing in the value of our own journey. Growth is not linear, and it's not about trying to match someone else's timeline or milestones. Real growth comes from embracing the challenges and triumphs that are uniquely yours, learning from setbacks, and building on your own experiences. When we compare ourselves to others, we often get distracted by what seems like the right way to succeed and start mimicking others rather than creating our own path. This conformity limits innovation and creativity. The more we look to others for validation, the less we trust ourselves to make decisions or take bold risks. We fail to realize that growth happens when we break free from the constraints of comparison and focus inward on our strengths, on our ambitions, and on the lessons we learn along the way. By ceasing to compare and focusing on our own evolution, we unlock the ability to expand beyond our limitations and become the best versions of ourselves. And when we spend too much time comparing ourselves to others, we inevitably find ourselves striving to fit into a mold that was never designed for us. Rather than pushing the boundaries of our own potential, we start conforming to someone else's vision of success. The danger of comparison is that it encourages us to play it safe, to follow the crowd, and to meet expectations that aren't aligned with our true purpose. This leads to a life of mediocrity, where we settle for being a copy of someone else instead of being the original version of ourselves. When we compare, we often lose sight of the unique gifts and talents we possess. Instead of cultivating those strengths, we dilute them in an attempt to replicate the achievements or lifestyles of others. Mediocrity takes root when we stop pursuing our own distinct path and start aiming for an ideal that doesn't reflect our own values, aspirations, or capabilities. Instead of daring to carve out something exceptional, we are content with fitting into a box that is already defined by someone else's standards. This pursuit of conformity leads to stagnation. We cease to innovate, take risks, or think creatively because we are constantly measuring our worth against a standard that might not even be meaningful to us. The real tragedy of comparison is that it robs us of our originality. It traps us in a cycle of imitation, preventing us from reaching our highest potential. Mediocrity thrives in the absence of self-belief and individuality. When we stop comparing ourselves to others, we begin to embrace our true potential. And only then can we break free from the grip of mediocrity and step into the excellence that is uniquely ours. Gratitude is one of the most powerful forces for unlocking potential. Yet it is often overlooked in the pursuit of comparison. When we express gratitude for what we have, rather than focusing on what we lack or what others have, we shift our mindset. Gratitude allows us to appreciate the progress we've made and the blessings that have shaped our lives. This sense of appreciation opens our hearts and minds to the abundance around us and within us. Instead of feeling defeated by what we don't have, gratitude makes us aware of the countless opportunities and resources we already possess, empowering us to use them to move forward. When we practice gratitude, we start to see challenges as opportunities for growth rather than obstacles to success. Instead of being discouraged by setbacks, we recognize that each experience, whether positive or negative, contributes to our journey.